Tapu Lele. Now, you're going to be thinking that if you're thinking about putting down a Kiawe at some point, of course, that really, really a powerful supporter that allows you to take 4 Fire Energy from your deck and just attach them to your bench, so to one of your Pokemon in play. So that's the way you power up that Ho really quickly. It does have that 4 energy attack cost, so he's able to get it up. And actually, it looks like he's looking for a Lily.
Yeah. Lily, of course, being able to draw additional cards if you play at the first turn of the game could be an interesting choice. We might see right here.
Right.
Interesting to see. I didn't see many Ho-Ohs in that deck. He might only play the one Ho-Oh GX as a tech.
Indeed, so this is actually a Volcanion-focused deck. So we saw the one Ho-Oh, we thought, oh, it might be Ho-Oh focused, but actually, no, it is. And he's just playing one Kiawe as well. So actually, so it is a Volcanion deck, just with different tech fire attackers.
Okay. So, and that's one of the things about how strong fire is right now. There's so many different attackers that you could have. You don't have to really focus on one or the other. You have the option to, and yeah, just like you said, we got the Lele, looks like we got the cards. He is attaching a Fighting Fury belt onto the Volcanion non-EX.
Yes, he is. Of course, this tool, which it kind of seen a little bit less play as a Choice Band has come out. It's still incredibly powerful. It does allow you to, when it's attached to a basic Pokemon, it makes all its attacks do 10 more damage, as well as gives it 40 more HP. But we see here now that, Gladston's playing the Lily, which is, again, not a supporter we see hugely often, but extremely powerful turn 1.
Absolutely. Drew into 7 cards, get down to 1 card, draw 7 new. Basically, you have 2 starting hands, which is amazing. And with the way Volcanion works, you need to have a large hand because you need to be able to drop those energies to use the steam up attack ability.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with that hugely draw turn 1, it makes it a lot easier for him to be able to hit like Floatstone like he has done here, which means that he can do steam ups, attach energies like he's already done, and then end off with a power heater, being able to soften up the Tapu Koko while simultaneously getting energy from his discard pile onto his bench Pokemon to set up his follow-up attackers.
Right, and he's playing a Max Elixir here, looking at those top 6 cards, seeing if he can find a basic energy, and he does. Attaches it to the Volcanion. Do you think he's looking to power up that second attack right away?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Steam Artillery is the Volcanion second attack. Just does 400 damage for free fire energy. Not perhaps remarkable in and of itself, but again, add in those Steam ups, and all of a sudden you'll be looking at a non-EX Pokemon that's just taking one-hit knockouts on EX and GX Pokemon. Right,
and that Tapu Koko having 110 hit points, I think attacking with the regular Volcanion second attack might take a lot of knockouts this game.
Yeah, you never know indeed. So there's the Floatstone onto the Volcanion. He retreats, brings up that Volcanion with the Fighting Fury Belt on it and the 2 energy, and he doesn't have free energy on it, so he will just have to be content with Power Heater, but still a great way for him to start off.
And Power Heater also having the effect that you search the discard pile. You can find up to 2 basic energies there and attach them to the bench Pokemon, but it is mandatory that if there are 2, you attach the 2.
Yeah.
So he was showing his opponent there to make sure there's only 1 basic energy.
Yeah, of course. Being that there's only 1, he will only be able to attach to 1, so that goes onto the Volcanion next on the bench, and now it will be back to Tord. What is he going to do to respond to this Volcanion?
Well, it's got some damage there. Playing an Eva Soda, that'll let him search his deck for an evolution card. Obviously, he's going for the Zoroark, because now he can start trading to help get his hand up to a nice size.
Yeah, absolutely. And given that now Tord knows what he's playing against, he knows he's going to be up against this Volcanion deck. Zoroark is going to be the main focus of his attacking force here. He really doesn't want to be evolving Wimpods into Golysopods, and even though the first impression attack obviously is very impressive, is able to do 120 damage for a single grass energy as long as it was brought into the active as Golysopod that turn, that's just an easy one-hit knockout for Gladston to take back.
Right, so we're probably going to see multiple Zoroarks this game. Being able to use that Ridus beating attack, that does so much damage.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing 20 damage for each Pokemon you have in play, including the active, so with a full bench that is 120 damage. And that consistent damage combined with the drawing cards is what has made Zoroark so powerful as an archetype in supporting other Pokemon, because you have that consistency of draw to be able to support a whole range of partners.
All right, he's playing an Ultra Ball. He's going to be searching his deck for cards, asking how many cards are in his opponent's hand. He might be looking to do something here with involving the hand, or do you think he's going to go for another Zoroark? There are options he has.
Yeah, there are, and that's exactly what he's considering. Again, like we've already said, when Tord goes through his deck, he wants to make sure that every single play he makes is the most optimal one. I mean, all players do, obviously, to some extent, but Tord has enough experience with the game that he has a good eye for what would be the right play at the right time. And so there, after assessing everything, deciding, actually, I don't want to disrupt my opponent's hand, I'm just going to go for a Cynthia.
All right. Cynthia, of course, being one of the new supporters from Ultra Prism. Very good card. Allows you to shuffle your hand into your deck, and then you draw 6 new cards.
Yes, indeed. And off of this, he'll be wanting to find, I imagine, a second Zoroark. Ideally, probably a third Zoro as well, just so, again, he can just do even more trades and follow up with even more attackers. And although, having said that, at this point, just having another Pokemon to bench, just so he can do the full 120 of Riotous Beating, will be good as well.
Absolutely, because we're looking at, there's a Fighting Fury belt on that Volcanion, so it's not going to be a one-shot. You know, it's going to have to take a couple attacks.
Yeah.
But if any deck can get the card set up, that's one of the nice things about Zoroark. It also provides consistency as well when you get set up. So.
Yeah, it does. And he has found that ideal bench there. So there's the Zoro hitting the bench. So next turn, if Sword's able to find 2 more Zoroarks, it will have 3 out and he'll be able to draw 6 cards a turn with those 3 trades.
Now, interesting to see the counter catcher in his hand. Not many decks playing counter catcher. I want to see how he plays that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very interesting tech. So counter catcher was released in Crimson Invasion. Didn't see a huge amount of play apart from like a couple of decks when it first came out. But if you're behind on prize cards, so if your opponent has more prize cards left than you, then you can use it, and it's essentially Guzma without the switch.
Right.
On an item.
And with the opponent playing a strong attackers like that Volcanion, it's very possible that a knockout will be coming soon. That Tapu Koko only having 110 hit points, and with the Volcanion having 2 energies, can he find a third one to use that attack and knock it out?
I mean, ideally, what he'd like to do is just find a fire energy and just use Steam Up and then do another power heater, because then not only is he getting a knockout, but then he can start powering up more attackers. Now, it doesn't look like he has a fire energy in his hand currently. He does have a Turtonator, though.
There we go.
So, I'll have to put down to the bench one of his tech attackers he has access to, and, looks like he's just going to go for a Sycamore.
Okay. Obviously, now he has 2 fire Pokemon on the bench, Pokemon that will use those basic energies if he can attach them better with the Steam Up attack. Turtonator is an interesting play. It's a very good counter for a lot of decks.
Yeah. Turtonator, of course, does have that really cool Shell Trap attack, which for 2 colorless energy does 20 damage, and then if it's attacked next turn, the Pokemon that attacked it takes 8 damage counters, which is you hit it and then it hits you back more than twice as hard.
Right. And with that Ho GX being prized, if he's going to be using a GX attack this game, it will probably be that Nitro Tank GX attack.
Yeah, absolutely. A really great attack for recovering in the late game, because one of the problems that the Volcanion deck normally has sometimes is later on when you use all your max elixirs, you've spent all your manual attachments, you're just really struggling to power up attackers quickly. But of course, the Nitro Tank GX, you can attach 5 energy from this discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like, and all of a sudden you've got a Volcanion fully powered up again, or a Ho-Oh or something.
Right. So we saw a knockout there with the power heater from the Volcanion, attaching the energy to the Turtonator GX. Doesn't look like he got another one out there for Volcanion EX, just the one.
Yeah, no, it was a bit unfortunate. He was only able to see 1 fire energy off of that draw, so yeah, a bit unfortunate for him.
Yeah, towards turn, pretty quick as well. Looks like he just used trade and then passed. So we are looking at a Max Elixir now, back from Gladston.
Indeed, and that's a very unfortunate turn for Sword. I mean, normally, after Cynthia doing a trade, you'd expect to see something, but no, just a trade and pass. Got to be a bit unfortunate for him.
This gives Gladston an opportunity to get back in the game here. Looks like he is powering up his Pokemon. Missed on the Max Elixir, but it did look like he drew a Fire Energy for his turn.
He did, and he's using a Brooklet Hill as well right now. So another really, really strong supporter that's using all sorts of manner of decks. Now, it allows you to take a Fighting or a Water Pokemon from your deck and put it straight onto your bench. And of course, Volcanion is Dual type.
Correct, yeah. I mean, usually you see this card only in Fighting or Water type decks. It's kind of strange to see it in a Fire deck, but like you said, yeah, being able to search out multiple Volcanion EX, being able to use that ability multiple times to do massive damage with any of your Fire type attackers is amazing. Yeah,
and we do see now he has 3 Volcanion EXs on the bench, so if he wants to, he can do 3 cleanups a turn, and that is a 3rd Fire Energy attached to the active Volcanion, so Steam Artillery is an option for him if that's what he wants to take, and actually, if he's able to get 3 Steam Ups here, that's exactly enough for a knockout.
That would be something amazing to see. I would be excited to see if he could pull that off this turn.
Yeah.
Does he play Recovery in his deck?
Yeah, he absolutely does. So he plays multiple copies of Energy Retrieval, and of course his Fire Energy count is very high at 14. And so he can do it. In fact, he's playing 3 Energy Retrieval, and I don't think I've seen him burn one yet. So this is definitely a possibility right now.
Let's see what he drew.
I see it.
Wow.
My goodness. So if he wants to, I mean, he may decide that it might not be best to go for the KO here. Maybe he thinks it might be better to just do some team ups and end up going for the power heater and just power up more attackers. But if he decides it's worth going for the one shot here, then why not, right? It gets rid of Tor's only Zoroark, and at that point, Tor's left with nothing to draw.
Right. Well, it looks like he did not power it up all the way. It looks like he just did the attack for 110 damage. No slouch itself with lots of damage there. Oh, and it's followed up with a max potion.
Yeah, there it is. So Max Potion, of course, able to once to use the heals off any Pokemon entirely, but discards the energy attached to it. But there's no energy attached to Zoroark, so that wasn't even a drawback.
Free full heal, can't argue with that at all. Looks like he's looking at his opponent's discard pile. Don't know what he's looking for right now.
Well, he's got a choice band to attach to the active Zoroark, it looks like. He's going to be wanting to find a double colorless energy. That's going to be the big thing for him. And I'm not entirely sure. Oh, he looks like he's eyeing up the counter catcher, and he goes to decide to play it.
Looks like he's bringing up just a Volcanion EX with no energies on it, possibly trying to give himself some time to get set up himself. Obviously, the board position, Gladston has lots of energies out. Tord, no energies on the field.
No, not yet. He was able to find an end, though, so that will be good for him. So he's able to draw some more cards and hopefully be able to find that double colors energy so he can actually start attacking before Gladston runs through his entire field.
Absolutely. Now, N, of course, being able to both players will shuffle their hands into their deck. Tord drawing a full 6 cards. Gladston will only be able to draw 5 because he has already taken a prize card.
Yeah, indeed he had, which is why the counter catcher worked.
Yes.
Yeah, that can sometimes be the disadvantage of taking a prize super early. Of course, the knockout was there to take, and so Gladston was for the opportunity. But that could be a really cool for Tord's side. That's probably one of the reasons why he considered playing counter catcher, because you can just take your opponent by surprise really with that.
Yeah, I mean, you win the game by taking prizes. You think you want to take prizes, but then at the same time, your opponent will find opportunities to use the fact that you're taking prizes to take advantage of the situation.
Absolutely, and now you know for a fact that Gladston's mindset is going to be different, because now he knows, oh, my Tord's playing counter catcher. I've got to be careful about making sure that whenever I take a prize, it's at the right opportune moment so that I don't fall prey to some kind of surprise like that again.
Yeah, so we are seeing some trade abilities here. We're looking, double puzzle of time.
Oh.
Playing 2 of those cards at the same time allows him to search his discard pile for any 2 cards he would like and put them into his hands.
Yeah.
So interested to see what he'll pull here.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic asset for Zoroark decks in general, just because with that trade ability, if you already have one puzzle of time in hand, then you're much more likely to be able to hold on to that and then draw more cards so that you can see the second part, instead of playing something like Professor Sycamore, for example, where you'd have to discard the whole of your hand to see new cards and therefore lose that first piece of the puzzle. No pun intended.
So we're definitely looking at an energy, like we had mentioned. He's kind of a little short on energy right now, so he's got the double colors. Also pulling out the Tapu Koko again. He, as you said, setting up those knockouts just right. I think that's what we are looking at. Yeah,
absolutely. So with that down now, he's already done 1 flying flip. So most of the Pokemon on Gladston's bench at least are set up, apart from the Turtonator, of course. But yeah, now this means that with 1 more flying flip, the Volcanion EX well, Tapu Lele is already set up there, but it means the Volcanion EX will be set up for a knockout. And it also means that once Tord is able to discard the Fighting Fury Belt from the active, then 2 flying flips will knock out that too.
Yes. Zoroark attacking with Riotous Beating, doing 150 damage because of that choice band, allowing you to do an extra 30 damage to GX or EX Pokemon.
Yeah, and very smartly here, Gladston recognizes the threats of the Tapu Koko, actually uses a Guzma to bring up. I mean, he needed to use that anyway to switch the Volcanion out of the active, but opting to target the Tapu Koko down instead of another Zora, for example, because he knows that if Tord is allowed to do another flying flip, that is going to end really badly for him.
All right, and we are seeing a knockout, being able to do 110 damage thanks to that Fighting Fury Belt.
Yes, indeed. So, and now back to on Tord's turn with Gladston taking a 2-prize lead here, but the Zoroark will be able to knock out the Volcanion if Tord is able to find a Field Blower, which he actually has in his hand ready.
Looks like he has 2 and he's ready to go.
Yeah, so that's going to be really good for him. And not only that, but he can then, obviously, because Field Blower allows you to discard a combination of 2 tools and stadiums, you can then also use that to discard the Fighting Fury Belt from the bench Volcanion EX and set that up for another easier knockout later too.
So interesting to see here, he's actually playing a Bridget with already having 4 bench Pokemon. Bridget plays those Pokemon directly to the bench, so you would only be able to get 1 additional Pokemon to put on the bench. However, you definitely need that additional bench Pokemon.
Yeah, he wants the additional bench Pokemon to do more damage with Riotous Beating, but also just so that he has more options to trade. I mean, it was better than 1 Zoroark too, and so on. If we're 3 and 4, if you're drawing 8 cards a turn, chances are you're going to have a very good shot at winning that game.
All right, so playing the Field Blower, opting to remove the Fighting Fury Belt and the Float Stone from the Volcanion EX, getting rid of that free retreat option, making Gladston here have to decide who to promote.
Yeah, and this is actually really clever because it gives Gladston a lot less flexibility here. It means that he's had to decide straight away to promote an attacker instead of just promoting something with free retreat and then freeing up that mental space for thinking about what the best attacker might be afterwards.
Yeah, a great strategy with a lot of pro players you will see. Playing something with free retreat like a Tapu Koko or giving Floatstone, allowing to give a free retreat. You're not always sure what you're going to draw with your card, and that one draw can really change how you're playing. So we are looking at a max elixir. Will he find another fire?
Yeah, indeed. He does.
Oh, he found 3, but he can only take 1.
Yeah, he can only take 1, but 1 is all he needs. And, well, actually, no, I say that. It's not all he needs. He does need 1 more after that. But,
right.
yeah, he would be able to take a knockout here potentially if he's able to find 2 fire energies. He can do 2 steam ups, and that would be enough to. Well, you need to attach to the active as well, but then that would be enough to take a KO with the Turtonator's Bright Flame attack. There's a Field Blower too. It's guarding a Choice Band.
And he did use a steam up just a second ago. He did discard a fire energy from his hand. So, does he have a way to find another fire energy?
I don't think I see a draw supporter in his hand. He has a Super Rod, but I don't think he's has a way of seeing more cards. We might just see a Shell Trap for 50 here instead.
Yeah, Super Rod, being able to search your deck, discard pile for either Pokemon or basic energy cards and shuffle them into your deck, gives them that flexibility of being able to play different cards. So putting 3 fire energies back in the deck, especially when playing the end just now, hoping to pull back one of those energies.
Yeah, so it looks like he did have supporter after all, so that's good for him. Now, of course, Gladston has already taken 2 prizes, so he will only be drawing 4 off of this end. So it's although he has obviously shuffled some energy back with Super Rod, the odds aren't necessarily with him to draw exactly the amount of energy he needs to pick up this knockout. And but hush my mouth, he finds a fire energy and an energy retrieval, so I think that will be enough now.
Yes, has plenty of options here. Tord did draw some cards as well. We might be able to see him pull something up here, but he's playing the energy retrieval, going straight for adding the additional fires to his hand.
Yeah, so with that you have 3 fire energy, and that will be enough because he will then have enough to do the steam up and then attach to the active, and yeah, he's got the Bright Flame, and that will be enough for the knockout on the Zoroark.
Yes, Bright Flame, of course, doing 190 damage, and then using this team up should be enough damage, and it is.
Yeah, so it does 160 as a base, and then. Oh, but actually, is he just going for the Shell Trap here? He is.
He did go for the Shell Trap. That is an interesting play.
It is. So it looks like he's trying to make sort of Todd to think on his feet a little bit, thinking instead of actually knocking out the Zoroark, thinking, now if you attack me, you're going to get hit back really, really hard, and trying to maybe force Todd to have a Guzma or something like that, and maybe wanted to preserve his energy for another Bright Flame later on.
What's nice about Shell Trap is the opponent takes the damage when they attack you on their turn. So if it sets you up for a knockout situation, you have your full turn to do as much damage as possible, but that only places the 8 counters, so we will see what's going to happen here. There is a Golisopod coming into play.
Oh, very interesting. So he's opting to take the risk now. We did see he had the Golisopod earlier, and he actually opted to sort of shuffle it away instead of evolving it. But I guess now he's decided is the point where, okay, it's worth me evolving this. He's got the double colors attached to it as well. So both Armor Press and Crossing Cut GX will be open to him as well. Of course, Crossing Cut GX is probably the highest sort of the damage cap of this deck goes. We're able to do 150 damage, and then you switch to Golisopod with one of your Pokemon on the bench. With a Choice Band, that's 180, which can KO a Volcanion EX in one go.
Yes, and Golisopod, obviously a little bit of a risky move here because the opponent plays so many fire Pokemon that Golisopod will not be able to take many hits, if any. Yeah,
and then Todd playing super fast all of a sudden. It looks like he found 2, maybe 3 Zoroarks off of that draw. Like, it's got 4 Zoroarks out.
Looks like he's finally getting set up. He's been waiting for that the whole game, so now it looks like he's willing to try to get himself back into the action.
Yes, indeed. And there goes a Choice Band onto the active, and it will be interesting to see what he goes for here. He has a choice of either First Impression, Armor Press, or Crossing Cut. Crossing Cut would be 10 short of the knockout because, of course, Turtonator does have 190 HP. Oh, but we do see the Parallel City as well.
Yeah, Parallel City, excellent choice right here. Recognizing his opponent's playing Fire-type Pokemon, plays it with the side that shrinks his own bench, limiting himself to just 3 benched Pokemon, while his opponent's Fire, Water, or Grass attacks do 20 less damage.
Yeah, that's super, super powerful. And he does opt to do the Crossing Cut GX indeed, so he will switch to the bench and bring his Zoroark active. Now, what does Gladston have in store for him in return?
Well, looks like they're taking a minute here. Probably wasn't expecting that Golisopod GX attack right away. Probably messed up his mental game a little bit right there, but it looks like he is getting ready to assess all of his options and to see what he can do.
Yeah. And actually, it's... Yeah,
There we go. Okay.
just about to say, it looks like there wasn't the correct amount of damage on the Gliscod. That should just fix just as we mentioned it. And now, if Tord's able to get his Tapu Koko back again somehow, then that would be really, really strong for him, because he would be able to take a knockout on the Turtonator, because given it only has 10 left. Now, he's been through 2 puzzles time already, but it doesn't seem like he plays any recovery cards other than that, so he would have to do...
He would have to get another puzzle, double puzzle time to pull that off.
Yeah, he would. If anyone can do it, though, it's him.
Absolutely. We're looking at Gladston right now, playing at Cynthia, going to get a fresh new hand of 6 cards. Obviously, later in the game, one of the nice aspects of Cynthia is it's a guaranteed 6. N used to be the popular choice for most shuffle mechanics. However, that would have only gotten Gladston 4 cards right now. Instead, he gets 6, and he gets the Field Blower.
Yeah, a very important find, of course, with the side of the Parallel City that was facing Gladston. All of his fire Pokemon would have done 20 less damage, but now that restriction has been taken off of him, and so we are seeing Steam Up and another one. And will there be a third as well, potentially?
He does have another Fire Energy. He's just doing the math to see what needs to happen. Ooh, attaching to the Volcanion EX.
Yeah, but he only needs 2 Steam Ups to take the knockout on the Zoroark, so either that he knew, right, I may as well attach my third energy to my bench Volcanion EX, so I have a follow-up attacker after this Turtonator inevitably goes down.
Right. All right, so Gladston now down to just 2 prizes remaining. Looks like he is in a good shape right now. Tord, beginning of the game struggled a little bit, but it looks like... I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we mentioned earlier, that Gliscod project is weak to fire, and one of the important things about it is that because of that, Gladston doesn't need any steam ups in order to take a one-hit knockout on the Gliscod with Volcanic Heat. Even if the Gliscod is completely fresh, has no damage on it at all, the 130 doubles up to 216, knocks it out. So that Gliscod is very, very vulnerable right now, and at this point, Gladston is only 1 Guzma away from winning this game.
Looks like we do see 2 puzzles at times. They're in towards hand. He's probably looking to see if he has any outs, because like you mentioned, that Volcanion EX ready to knock out that Gliscod very simply. Only needs a Guzma to win the game.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, Tord could maybe consider a first double hustling for Max Potion, but if he does that, again, was already mentioned, that doesn't help. Even if it's fresh, it will still be knocked out by the Volcanion. So he really wants to find Acerola here. He just wants to take that Gliscod off of the bench entirely and make it so that Gladston has to actually work for a knockout by doing multiple steam ups and carrying a Zoroark instead.
Tord definitely having the bench spots available, has a Tapu Lele in his hand, so if he does have the Acerola, does have the opportunity to get it. But
yeah, and I'm sure that's what he'll be considering. There is the 2 puzzles at a time played at the same time. Gladston was handing back toward his discard pile after having had a look at it. There is the Acerola, so it was indeed in Tord's discard pile, so he goes to that straight away. Be interesting to see what his other choice is. Actually, considering the Counter Catcher or the Tapu Koko.
As you mentioned, Tapu Koko being able to spread the damage would be great. Counter Catcher as well, being able to take that Volcanion EX, which is fully powered up, and making sure to remove that as a threat as soon as possible.
Yeah, and this decision is going to be absolutely crucial because, as I already mentioned, he's not playing any other recovery cards. The Tapu Koko is the option he goes for. That is it. So, he won't be able to change his mind later and go for another Counter Catcher later on. So I guess he's just decided that's the best option to go for. Does re-bench the Wimpod in case he needs to attack the Gliscod later, but of course, picking up that double colorless that was attached to the Gliscod with the Acerola means that he can now attach it to the Zoroark, and he will be able to knock out this Turtonator.
Yes, Acerola, powerful supporter. If there's any damage on your Pokemon, you can pick it up and take all of the cards with it back to your hand, so he can reuse that double colorless energy that was attached to that Gliscod.
Yeah, and so being able to do that, being able to pick up the knockout onto Gladston's active, and the way Gladston's acting right now kind of tells me he probably doesn't have a Guzma straight away, because he is just bringing up the Volcanion. Now, what does he draw for turn? He draws another Fire Energy. Oh, he had the Guzma. Oh no, of course, I was going to say it doesn't matter if he has the Guzma in hand because the Tord picked up his Gliscod. So instead, just opting for a Sycamore, and at this point, he just needs enough Fire Energy to do enough steam ups to knock out the Zoroark instead. Does he find it? He's got another
one. Uses it.
Yeah, and
what else is in that hand?
I think he did. Yeah, he did enough steam ups before playing the Sycamore to take the knockout anyway. So Volcanic Heat will pick up the knockout onto the Zoroark, and we'll be moving on to Game 2 with Gladston taking Game 1 against Tord.
Gladston's got to be feeling really good right now. Being able to take Game 1 against the 3-time international champion Tord Reklev, representing his home country of Brazil. You got to think Gladston's really excited to be here.
Yeah, I think that was a really great demonstration of what a powerhouse the Volcanion deck can still be. So the Volcanion is actually quite popular in Brazil, and it's even every single time it's taken one of the top spots in some shape or form at the last few internationals. So it clearly still a force to be contended with.
Yeah, Volcanion, being able to do massive damage with energy recovery at the same time, it's just a simple mechanic that is very effective. And obviously we saw right here, Gladston was able to very effectively use that to win. Not even really knocking out the Glycopods, just knocking out non-fire weak Pokemon.
Yeah, even playing Pterodactyl strategy in taking the threats off the board and timing the Glycopod well so that he could use it whilst not making it an easy knockout for Gladston to pick up. Gladston was still able to knock out things anyway, so you got to think that going into game 2, this is going to be a real big confidence booster for him.
Yes. Tord limits his options of Pokemon he would like to start with, because obviously once the Wimpod comes down, if he's not able to get another bench Pokemon to switch into, he's looking at some danger of a Wimpod being knocked out quickly.
Yeah, indeed he is. And I think the other thing that's going really well for Gladston as well is that he has like the plethora of tech options, as we already mentioned. He's got the Ho-Oh GX, which gives you weakness coverage as well, because of course one of the weaknesses of the fire decks is that they tend to be pretty vulnerable to water type attackers. But instead Gladston is able to counteract that a little bit by being able to attack with Ho-Oh instead. We did see from Tord's prizes there again, nothing too drastic, lots of different one-offs, so nothing that was going to cripple his strategy entirely. Let's see does Gladston end up prizing.
All right, looks like the Ho-Oh GX is in the prizes again. Looks like that doesn't want to come out and play today.
No.
Fire Energy and Super Rod both being in there, limiting his recovery options, but like you mentioned before, he does play many different ways of getting those Fire Energies.
Yeah, and also Ho-Oh, it doesn't seem like it was that important for him in that matchup. He didn't need his win last time, so I'm sure he won't be too sad to see it in the prizes. And Tord is recognizing the time here, so playing incredibly fast, just throws the Bridget down, throws down the two Zoras and the Tapu Koko, and says, go, essentially.
Right. Mew EX, not the ideal starter. More useful against the fighting matchups. Again, we had mentioned Zoroark hasn't that being weak to fighting. Fighting types have become very popular. However, Mew EX in this, not really too effective in this matchup.
No, and it gives up 2 prizes as well, which isn't ideal, given that, the Mew EX is really in there for coverage. There's certain matchups against like Buzzwole, for example, which is weak to Psychic. You want to be able to knock out Buzzwole GXs easily in one hit. But yeah, against Volcanion, not going to be much good to him at all. So really unfortunate from his side to start that.
All right, Gladston doing his first deck search, trying to see what he's going to be pulling here. Looks like he is eyeing that Lily again. We might see another Tapu Lele for a Lily.
Yeah, and I mean, it is strong, right? Of course, Lily normally only allows you to draw until you have 6 cards in your hand, but if you play it on your first turn, you can draw until you have 8 in your hand.
And that's exactly what happened here. We got the Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele using that Wonder Tag ability. It's a wonder it's so great. Lets him search his deck for any supporter card, pulls out that Lily. First turn, that's the turn you want to play Lily if possible.
Yeah, definitely. So he's going to have to decide here what the best way for him to approach thinning out the rest of his hand is. He has a Fighting Fury Belt he could attach. And then is he opting he just plays it straight away without playing any of the other cards in his hand first, deciding he'd rather maybe attach a Float Stone to the active instead of a Fighting Fury Belt, or wait to see what he has before he attaches more Fire Energy.
I think he's also looking for another fire-type attacker. Volcanion EX, very powerful attacker, but does take 3 turns to power up the energy. If we could get another one on the bench, he does have the Max Elixirs option, but he's probably just looking for the regular Volcanion. Yeah,
which unfortunately he was not able to find. Now he does opt to attach the fire to the active ultimately, and then just says pass. Now Tord from his side has a choice band for the Mew, and is now going to play an Ultra Ball, discarding Acerola and then finding another Zoroark.
So he has 2 Zoroarks set up already, has that Tapu Koko. Going to be playing against the clock here. Make sure you don't blink, because Tord's going to be playing lightning quick.
Yeah, he is. He knows that his back is against the wall a little bit, being 1 game down already, and for using Wonder Tag from his own side, finding the Cynthia, and at this point, he wants to find another Zora and some kind of energy to attack with. He needs to start getting damage as quickly as possible. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep. Looking at the board position right now, he probably saw Gladston only has the active Volcanion EX, didn't get another Volcanion. He's looking to try to take advantage of that situation right now, his board position. Yeah, and able to get the double colors energy, so he does have the means to attack right now. He has a Wimpod he can bench as well if he wants to. Well, I have to just discard it and put down a Zora instead. And that means that the Rice Beating will be doing the full 150 damage with that choice band. Yeah, Mew EX having that ability versatile allows it to copy the attacks of any other Pokemon in play. So being able to copy Righteous Beating, very simply and doing massive damage to that Volcanion EX early in the game.
Yeah, so 150 onto the Volcanion, and now from Gladston's side, he has the other Volcanion he can bench, as we already mentioned, and he's probably going to be going for the Max Elixir here, and maybe trying to find some more energy just to... Actually, because if he's able to get enough energy onto this Volcanion EX, he can just knock out the Mew. He doesn't even need any steam ups because, of course, as I already mentioned, it only has 120 HP.
Correct. Mew EX, great in some matchups. This isn't the matchup, but unfortunately he did start with it, so taking advantage of the situation, it's there. I might as well attack with it, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Looks like we do have a Fire Energy onto that Volcanion on the bench, but nothing else happening right now.
No, not at all. And it's now if Gladston had maybe attached his Fire Energy to the bench that Volcanion that it was in his hand last turn, attached to it, and then the Max Elixir, he could have done another energy attachment this turn. He actually would have been able to do it. But unfortunately for him right now, it looks like he might just have to say pass.
Looks like it. Did play the switch to bring up the Fighting Fury belted Volcanion with no damage, so able to take a couple more hits than the heavily damaged Volcanion EX that is now on the bench. Again, Tord's turns are going to be pretty quick here, so just going right to the right of speeding. Yeah,
and another really unhelpful draw from Gladston's side as well. He's got no draw supporters. His hand consists of 2 Energy Retrieval, a Brooklet Hill, and a Guzma. That's all he needs right now.
Yeah, I mean, late game, that's the perfect hand to have probably, but right now he's still looking to get set up a little bit, and he needs some resources. Playing down that Brooklet Hill, he is searching his deck for a water Pokemon.
Yeah, so he's able to get himself another Volcanion EX. All 4 of them are now out, and he's doing this for 2 reasons. One, obviously, it's good to have loads of Volcanions out so he can do more steam ups. But secondly, he wants to thin cards out of his deck so that he's more likely to draw into something useful. Like, you know, if he keeps letting Tord do this to him, then he's kind of going to be a little bit stuck. And he just plays the Guzma, switches into the Volcanion that he just got off the Brooklet Hill, bringing up Tapu Lele to Tord's active.
Yeah, Gladston, I think, just trying to give himself some time to get set up. He realized he didn't want to give him 2 prizes early on, so playing that Guzma is more of a tactic to give himself some time. Looks like Tord's responding in kind.
Yeah, he has a Guzma of his own, able to do enough to... Wait, what? Oh, he's opted to do Flying Flip, of course.
Flying Flip.
Oh, this is very, very clever. So, of course, Mew can copy the attack of any Pokemon on either side of the field. So, Mew able to copy Tapu Koko's Flying Flip and, yeah, just do spread damage everywhere. And are we about to see a 4-prize turn next turn?
It might very well happen. Tord was recognizing the fact that his opponent was not able to attach the energies that turn. Playing Guzma defensively obviously didn't have the draw card, so Tord's trying to take advantage of the situation, spread out that damage, and see what happens.
Yeah, no, it is 4 prizes for Tord, knocking out both the Volcanion EXs on the bench. My goodness.
Oh, wow. All right. Got to add that additional damage to the other Pokemon as well. Looks like it's coming down. Of course, the Choice Band does apply to the active as well, so it does 20 damage to all Pokemon. It does 50 to the active as his EX or a GX.
Yeah, and it looks like Gladston just concedes.
That's what it looks like. All right, we're moving on to Game 3.
Yeah.
I probably realized he wasn't drawing anything. Tord was in a great position. So just, he's like, you know what? Let's just save us some more time for an actual Game 3.
Yeah. So Tord just winning a very swift Game 2. We're just sort of realizing, Gladston realizing that there's not much point carrying this on. You know, if I concede now, maybe we have time to play out full Game 3 and actually have a winner.
Yeah. Gladston, Volcanion, not the best starter. Tord, Mew, not the best starter, but you know what? They, given the opportunities that Gladston wasn't able to draw into anything to actually do damage, Tord took any opportunity he had to do as much damage as possible, and taking those 4 knockouts super early, I think Gladston was like, you know, let's just move on to Game 3. I'm going to try again here and let's see what we can do. Yeah,
and that's really, it's another part of the skill of the game in a weird way. We've seen this mentioned a couple of times before over previous streams, is that knowing when is the best point to say, right, you know, I need to keep an eye on the clock. I need to make sure that these games actually finish out. I'm 95% sure, I'm sure enough that if I play out this game, I will not win. Let's just concede this, move on to Game 3, and maybe I can make a comeback.
Yeah, that's a lot of things I think people don't realize. There's multiple aspects to the Pokemon. It's not a Pokemon trading card game. It's not just the game itself. You are in a tournament. The tournament does have to keep moving on, so there is a time round limit. And like you said, you don't want to spend too much time just losing.
No, absolutely. No one wants to spend too much time doing that. Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we're getting into game number 3. Obviously, the players both want to try to finish this game. If they do not finish, it will result in a tie.
Yeah, and of course a tie only gives you 1 match point as opposed to a win, which would give you 3. And of course, those are what counts, in terms of your record of standing, to determine whether you make it through to day 2 or not. So it's going to be in both these players' vested interest to play fast to see a winner.
Correct. On third side, we are seeing a Zorua, a Zoroark, a Golisopod, a Tapu Lele. Lots of Pokemon there in his prize cards.
Yeah, definitely. So the most awkward prizes he's seen so far, over the course of this series at least. And what we have from Gladston's side, 1 Volcanion EX, 2.
2 Volcanion EX.
Ooh.
But no Ho-Oh GX for the first time this match.
No, and also actually much better starters for both of them.
Much
See, Tord does have that Wimpod in the active, so he'll be able to retreat that when it comes to his turn 1. And Gladston starting not only with the Volcanion, but having the Brooklet Hill to get another Volcanion EX out as well.
Yeah, generally in the Pokemon trading card, you do want to go first because it gives you an extra turn for energy attachment, extra turn to play your supporter to get set up. But in this situation, he would have been able to do massive damage to that Wimpod if he had gone second.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you remember, AJ, but back in the day, of course, there was no limits on what you could do going first. You could even attack going first. So if that was the situation, all Gladston would need to do is, either attach a Fighting Fury Belt or do a Steam Up, announce Power Heater, and win.
Over the years, they've made many adjustments to the game, and I think that was a good adjustment to make. Actually gives Tord an opportunity to come back and not just lose right away.
Yeah.
So looks like we're playing a Max Elixir here, going for the early energy attachments, getting the energy, hits the fire energy onto the Volcanion EX.
Yeah. An important thing to remember about the Volcanion decks is that they play very high counter fire energy. So, quite often when we see Buzzwole, Lycanroc decks being played, there'll be a Max Elixir miss because they normally tend to only play 9, maybe 10 basic energy. Gladston's playing 14. So, statistically speaking, he's very likely to hit everything he needs. Speaking of which, in terms of being likely to hit things, he's hit turn 1 Lily every single game.
3 turn 1 Lilies, being able to draw into 8 cards at the start of all 3 games. Gladston really appreciates that consistency, I am sure. Looks like he just wanted to double check how many cards he drew.
Has he drawn up to 9? Oh dear.
All right, so the judges are going to look at this. Obviously, we should probably take a moment to talk about the new changes to the penalty guidelines. Yes,
indeed. So this is a very, very recent change that sort of came out. So previously, if you were to receive what's called a prize card penalty for some kind of error during the game, then your opponent would have the option to take 1 prize or to not. They could opt to do it. Now, instead, we have something called the double prize penalty, which is you have to actually just take 2 less prizes in order to win, and you can't refuse it either.
Correct. I think that helps the players a lot because now they don't have to feel like, should I take the prize card? Should I not take the prize card? What's going on with the situation? Is my opponent playing counter catcher and I need to worry about taking that prize card? Now it's a very simple, all right, this is the double prize loss penalty.
Yes.
And it looks like we are looking at that situation here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so
right.
we're just going to wait for, until... whilst these guys get this resolved, we're just going to, just let the judges take care of this for a little bit. So, it's unfortunate because these things sometimes happen during the course of a game. It's very easy, especially when you're playing fast as well, like both these players want to, because they want to make sure that they see a full series just to, whoops, drew 1 too many cards. And, the judges are going to resolve this, and we'll get back to the game very shortly.
Right. Gameplay errors do happen. We have humans that play this game. We're not playing the game by robots. So, the judges, they want to do everything they can to make sure the game state is fair, fun, and fast. So, they're going to try to get this penalty taken care of as soon as possible. But like you did mention, we have that gameplay error major we might be looking at here for drawing an extra card. That would result in a double prize loss.
Yes, indeed it would. So, talk about more the game as it looks currently. So, we did see Gladston drew a lot of fire energy from that hand, but I didn't see much else of a couple. I think I saw maybe an energy retrieval, a couple of other things. Will he be able to work with that much? I mean, I guess maybe it's a bit different because he has a Volcanion and a Volcanion EX, so he can just maybe do attacks for a bit. But I don't know. How do you see it?
Well, right now, he's got the ideal quick setup. He's got that regular Volcanion in the active, has Volcanion EX on the bench, has the ability later in the game to get additional ones with the Brooklet Hill. So Gladston is actually in a pretty good board position right now. Didn't really get a chance to see what Tord's board position was, so all we see is a Wimpod in the active position. Not the best start against a Volcanion deck.
No, indeed not. Yeah, it's really again it's really unfortunate that Gladston ended up with this, because it's got to be when it's going so well, and like I said, you won game 1, you've lost a quick game 2, and now this has happened. It's just like, oh dear, that's but why me?
But it happens all the time, and even the top players, they're going to make mistakes, and that's just the thing. That being said, our judges are going to work quickly to try to resolve this and see what exactly happens with the situation. Still early in the game, and it looks like that is what happened. He did draw the extra card, so they are fixing that right now. What do you think? Do you think that if it becomes a prize loss penalty, do you think that will impact the game greatly?
I mean, undoubtedly, because you have to remember that there's not much time left on the clock right now. So the fact that Tord now has to take 2 less prizes to win, assuming that's the penalty that's been given, and we don't have confirmation of that yet. Once we do, we'll let you know. But if that's the case, then yeah, Tord only needs to take 2 EX or GX knockouts in order to win, and that's going to make a huge difference given how much time's left on the clock. Now,
again, with the changes, there was no prize card drawn, because if that was a prize loss penalty, historically Tord would have had the opportunity to draw a card, but that is no longer the case. If there's a prize loss penalty, Tord would just need to draw 2 fewer prize cards to win the game.
Yeah, and so now going back into the game, Gladston, even though he is going first, he does still opt to do a steam up and then pass just to get that fire energy into the discard pile. And now going back on Tord's side, we see him starting with a Tapu Lele, so I imagine he'll be going for a Bridget here and just doing the same thing he's done over the past 2 games.
Yeah, being able to turn 1 Tapu Lele, get that supporter. Going to need those extra Pokemon on the bench. Again, Wimpod, not the best start against a fire deck. You want to try to get those Zoruas and that Tapu Koko, which obviously we saw with great success in the last game.
Yeah, and again, Tord just showing here that Tord is the sort of player who approaches every single matchup with a game plan in mind. He knows straight away, as soon as he sees his opponent flip something over, he's like, right, I know how I need to operate my deck in this particular matchup in order to give myself the highest chance of winning. So he recognizes how important the Tapu Koko is to have, and how just doing 2 flying flips sets things up so much easier for him in order to be able to take follow-up knockouts with Zoroark's Riotous Beating.
All right, so after we got those Pokemon into play, Tord shuffling his deck. Interesting to see what he will be doing. Going for the free retreat, obviously. Bring up the Pokemon that is not weak to fire into the active position as he passes.
Indeed. Now, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think he has a double colorless in his hand, so he won't be able to go for the turn 1 flying flip. That would be really, really effective for him. But he does find himself a Parallel City, is able to sort of maybe limit Gladston's bench down a little bit and stop him from being able to bench too many Volcanions. But he does have 1 steam up there, and he has another Volcanion non-EX to follow up with.
And this is important because early game, Volcanion likes to have the additional energies to attach, so it looks like he is using the Volcanion to power up both the benched Volcanion EX and the Volcanion.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Okay. So we now have had confirmation that indeed a double prize penalty was awarded to Tord. So now Tord has to take 2 less prizes in order to win. He doesn't, as we already mentioned, he doesn't actually take the prizes, but he now, if he has 2 prizes left, essentially he wins instead. And also, there's been a 3-minute time extension added as well.
All right, and so that was an important fact to mention, because while he is playing N, he will still be drawing 6 cards off of the N, because he still has all 6 prize cards. Only has to take 4 to win the game, but those prize cards are still there for effects such as N and Counter Catcher.
Yeah, and I imagine that's probably one of the reasons why they made this change. It's because recognizing that because the number of prizes affects so many in-game things, that doing it this way, it makes it, like I said, there's a little bit less of the guilt factor as well. Where it's like, say if you're playing against a friend, do I take the prize penalty? Do I not? And instead, it's just consistent, and I actually much prefer this change mechanically. I think it makes a lot more sense.
I think the judges prefer it as well. It allows them to play the game and help the players play the game at a much higher efficiency. And it's glad to hear that these changes do come in. And it looks like Tord dropping down 2 Zoroarks right away. Looks like he's starting to get set up. Yeah,
I think we're seeing the return of Turbo Tord here. So we've known quite a few games on stream where he just whacking things down as quickly as possible. Again, and I'd imagine, to be honest, that's one of the reasons that has helped him see so much success recently, is because he's able to play to a point where the clock isn't as much of a worry for him. He knows he can finish games out before the clock finishes, and actually able to take wins or losses instead of tying games.
That's one of the things with just with any activity. easy, especially Pokemon. Being able to practice with your decks, get very familiar with the cards. You can play at a high speed and still know exactly what you're doing in your turn. If you don't have that practice behind it, you might make several misplays, which might result in costing you your game. So Tord able to play at high speeds and still play his deck very effectively.
Yeah, and that's the important thing to mention as well, is the combination of being able to play both at a high speed whilst not making mistakes, because anyone can play fast, right? You know, it's very easy to just whack cards down willy-nilly and just do whatever you want, but to actually do that and make those cards you throw down be correct ones and actually win you the game, that's something else entirely, and that's clearly what Todd's been able to practice and demonstrate so well here.
All right, Gladston looks like he's playing an Ultra Ball, looking through his deck. Not sure what he is getting yet.
No, and I think he's probably going to be going for a Tapu Lele, because I don't believe I saw any kind of draw supporter in his hand. Now, he should have access to the Tapu Lele, because I don't believe... Yeah, he didn't prize all of them.
Okay.
I saw them earlier, so... And it looks like he's opting for Cynthia, or at least that's what he's put to the bottom of his deck, and I imagine that's what he's probably going to be going for, but he also will be looking for his deck and making sure that he knows exactly what's prized before going through with any decisions.
Yeah, Gladston realizing he's in a situation where Tord only needs to take 4 prize cards to win, so he needs to play much more meticulously and figure out exactly what he needs to do to win this game. Opting instead for the Turtonator GX.
Oh, maybe he does have a draw supporter in his hand then. We will have to see, but also Turtonator was used to really great effect in the game 1, so I think he recognizes that it's a really important attacker, especially against Zoroark itself. If Tord plays that game of just going pure Zoroark and not benching so many Glycopods, then Turtonator's going to be one of those things that can actually take one-hit knockouts on the Zoroarks.
Gladston obviously winning the first game, realizing how important Turtonator would be to the matchup here. Oh, and playing a Guzma to bring up that benched Fire Weak Wimpod.
Right, okay, so of course with the 1 steam up, the doubling for weakness will be enough for a knockout on the Wimpod, and so able to then do a power heater and knock out the Wimpod. Now back to Tord's side. He's got several trades to work with. He's got double colors as well, so we could see a flying flip this turn.
Yep. Using trade twice. Looking through the options that he now has, Zoroark using trade gives you so many cards in your hand. It does make it take a second longer because you have to actually think about what you're doing for your turn. Playing a Tapu Lele, getting out a Guzma.
Interesting. So Tord really going aggressively here, sort of recognizing that he needs to take knockouts quickly and needs to take out knockouts on things which will give him 2 prizes. So he's going to be looking to target down either the Volcanion or the Turtonator. Probably, given the amount of energy on it, more likely the Volcanion.
Take out that Volcanion threat earlier would be great. Attaching a double colorless and a choice band to the Tapu Lele, using the ability to actually attack with Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele not just great with its ability, but has an amazing attack as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the energy drive, able to do, it does 20 damage to the opponent's active for each energy attached to both players' actives, and it doesn't factor in weakness and resistance. So with the choice band, they're able to do 130 to the Volcanion.
Yeah, Gladston's Pokemon need a lot of energy to attack. I think Tord recognized that, and he opted to attack the Pokemon that has lots of energy. Oh, Gladston putting a Float Stone onto the Volcanion X with 3 energies and attacking with the regular Volcanion.
Yeah, and it looks like here Gladston trying to go for that Turtonator, not going for the draw supporter, means that he's actually not left with a draw supporter at all right now. So it's unfortunate for him, and now Tord's kind of got the door open to just carry on trading and attacking Gladston's things. And there's another Guzma.
There's another Guzma. Brings up his Tapu Koko, which has free retreat if he chooses to retreat, and he does. Brings back up the Tapu Lele, again, with all the energy on that Volcanion X being able to do massive damage.
Fantastic, and so now Tord will take this knockout, and he's only going to be 2 prizes away from winning this game.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you're playing the Pokemon trading card game. An error can impact you, especially at a large event like this. Want to make sure you do everything as clean and cut as possible.
Yeah, definitely. So now it's going to be onto Gladston's side, and I don't know about you, AJ, but I'm really struggling to see Gladston's win condition here. I mean, it's not impossible for him to win, but I mean, considering Tord only has 2 more prizes left to take, and Gladston has not really got much of a follow-up attacker to work with right now. I mean, what does he even do this turn?
He's got that Turtonator GX on the bench. Might be looking to Shell Trap just to scare Tord a little bit into not attacking it. However, Tord is looking like he has pretty solid board position, having those 2 Zoroark GXs out there, being able to trade every turn and draw 4 new cards. It's looking like he's in a very good position.
And the thing is that Tord has nothing to really be scared of because he's absolutely fine with one or two of his things being knocked out. He only has 2 more prizes left to take. As long as he can announce 2 attacks onto the Turtonator with the Guzma, then he wins this game regardless. So it's, I think, yeah, you just got to favor Tord here.
All right, so a little bit of confusion there. Tord went right into his turn and right into playing the Guzma to bring up that bench Turtonator. Gladston was still using his Volcanian's attack to attach the basic energies from the discard pile. But yeah, looks like Tord is ready to go here.
Yeah.
A little bit of confusion here. Looks like the judges are just clarifying what exactly happened during that.
Yeah, so I think, has it been resolved now, at least? It looks like Gladston's still like a little bit confused potentially. No, it's fine. Yeah,
okay,
so
we're good.
Yeah, we're good. So now Tord brings up the Zoroark, and we'll be able to do right beating for 120. So we're not going to do a trade first, of course, and another one. Why not?
We did see that Tord did draw that counter catcher, so doing this damage. Looks like you have to remember here though, Tord actually still has 4 prize cards. He does not have 2.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's still ahead of Gladston, so unless Gladston takes a 2 prize knockout here, he won't be able to use the counter catcher to win still. But I imagine it'll just be easy trade fodder for next turn.
Right, and being able to play those 4 puzzles at times can get those Guzmas back out of the discard pile if he retreats out of the Turtonator GX. He might just leave the Turtonator GX active. He does not.
No. I mean, he can't do. If he does, he loses. So
absolutely right.
So he's going to play the switch. There is a fire engine onto the active. It's going to be a steam artillery for 100 potentially, or maybe a power. No, steam artillery. Does Tord have the Guzma to win?
Let's see. He has lots of trades to work with.
Yeah, there's 1.
There's 2.
No, doesn't have it yet.
Doesn't look like he has it yet. There's a 3rd trade.
There it is.
There's 2 puzzle times right there.
Yep.
All right, so playing the 2 puzzle times, getting any 2 cards he wants out of discard pile, one of which being Guzma, other of which being another Guzma.
Why not? Why not, right? So he plays one of those 2, yeah, brings up the Turtonator, brings up the Tapu Koko, retreats, takes knockout Rice beating, and Tord will win round 1.
It looks like Tord's already on his way to repeating another international championship win. Going 1-0 so far. We still have several rounds to go, but Tord taking out that first win.
Yeah, and after that, game 1 as well. I mean, commiserations to Gladston. He put up a really, really good fight. And like he did not make it easy for Tord at all.
After that first game, I got to be honest, I thought Gladston had this